Well, Milan, Paris, London, Tokyo, and New York fashion weeks are held in major cities around the world, and the Chinese capital is no exception. As BON's Niva Whyman reports, mainland designers are determined to make a greater impact on the international fashion scene.
When China Fashion Week began back in 1997, it managed to attract just 4 collections. But from those inauspicious beginnings, the event has grown into today's huge biannual fashion festival. And this week, over 50 different labels are presenting their designs in Beijing. Still, there is a noticeable absence of international players this time around, which organizers blame on the impact of the global financial crisis. However, the dearth of interest from top names this year did nothing to dim the optimism of mainland designer Zhang Zhifeng, the man behind these styles, about what the future holds for Chinese brands.
In about 10 to 20 years, people will only know Chinese brand names and will have forgotten Italian and French brand names.
And Zhang is not alone in his upbeat predictions for Chinese fashion. Vogue UK reported earlier this year that the somewhat dubious connotations of the Made in China label are set to be replaced by a much more desirable Created in China one, as Chinese-based designers begin to feature more and more on the must-have scale. The magazine cited industry analysts and trend predictors WGSN as saying that China's status as the world's largest manufacturing country has given its fashion designers a low profile internationally. But WGSN says it expects this to change as Chinese creativity moves center stage in the years ahead and the country's role as a leading consumer market with homegrown brands strengthens. However, Angelica Chung, editor of Vogue China, says it will take some time before Chinese fashion brands can achieve real international influence. And she warns that mainland designers will need to be aware of what is going on, not just in China but around the world, in order to get just the right balance between what she called Chineseness and modernity. At a menswear show on the other side of Beijing, Yang Ziming of Cabine, the first designer from the mainland to show in New York's Fashion Week, was also upbeat on what Chinese brands can offer the international customer, saying they certainly have something that is unique. The president of China Fashion Week, Wang Qing, said the fact that designer-owned brands, rather than major fashion houses, were dominating the catwalk was a positive sign, which shows the industry's transformation from concentrating on processing and export to a more talent-driven mode. But he cautioned that copying of designs was still a serious problem in China, although he added that improved IPR protection and Chinese companies and designers achieving their own styles could help reduce this. And vice chairman of the China Fashion Designers Association, Liu Yuanfeng, says that young Chinese designers have quite big potential. Liu also pointed out that the fashion industry in China is still in its infancy, although he added that the environment for the development of cultural and creative industries is very open. And famous makeup artist Mao Geping, who also took part in Fashion Week, says a new generation of Chinese makeup artists is also waiting in the wings.
There is a big market for makeup, and that is why we set up this training school.
And from an international perspective, Reuters said the industry appeared keen to move on from being just a mass manufacturer of clothes to aspiring to its own Western brands and sell them domestically. And bearing this point out, Chinese companies have recently acquired the right to sell international labels locally, including such household names as Aquascutum and Pierre Cardin. But here at China Fashion Week, designers with an eye on climbing to the top rungs of international fashion will also be hoping that Chinese consumers don't abandon locally designed brands, or certainly until the international fashion A-list includes at least a smattering of Chinese names amongst its rarefied ranks. Niva Whyman, BON.
Well, some interesting fashion we saw there, James. Well, the Chinese fashion industry seems to be moving forward from just becoming mass manufacturer of clothes to producing Western brands that they can sell them here domestically. And some Chinese companies have actually acquired rights recently to sell these famous brands locally here.
Yeah, the famous Western brands. WGSN, which you saw quoted in the report there, it also gives an overview of China's ongoing transformation from this export-oriented manufacturing economy to a nation which is starting to prioritize talent meeting domestic demand here. So other countries, too, are showing an interest in China's fashion-focused culture. Donatella Versace, she made a point of being in Beijing a little earlier this year for her spring and summer 2009 collection. She was also here the previous year as well. The WGSN report that you saw quoted there also mentioned the top 10 sort of creative designers that we're seeing emerge from China. And they really cover the entire designing spectrum. A person by the name of Guo Pei operates at the haute couture end of the spectrum, and famously turned down an invitation to show off the collection at Milan. One other person, Ma Ke, is a creative director of the massively popular brand Exception, which has been sold to 60 stores in 30 cities here in China. So there's a lot of transformation going on.
Definitely.
Stay tuned. We will continue BON News with the question of the day in just a moment.